I'm going to record. So we record this meeting, but I will pause the recording when we go to group meetings because we keep those private. And I just want to say welcome, everybody. My name is Helen. I know most of you. Welcome, Rebecca and Gloria. I don't know you, but I'm glad you're here. So I wanted to go ahead and get started instead of spending a lot of time getting to know each other because we're going to go into small groups. And I thought we would have more small group time if we spent less time at the very beginning doing all kinds of introductions, if that makes sense at all. That was my leading from the Lord recently. It was like, okay, let's get into that. Then you guys can spend more time in small group discussion, which if you all know me, I love small group talk. I feel as if being in a smaller group really helps us get to know each other better and gives us time to be more transparent. So how we normally do this is after we get started, I'm going to just share a little bit, a leadership tip, and then we'll talk about that in our small groups and then come back in our big group and share our big ideas. So I picked from, I'll just share with you the next couple weeks, months, I'm going to be teaching from the John Maxwell Leadership Bible. I was asking the Lord, where do I go next? Because I like to pick different books on leadership to share from. And last year, I used the John Maxwell Leadership Bible for my devotion. All last year, I read through the Bible. It's a New King James Version. So I like to read a different version of the Bible every year also with my reading plan. Some of you guys know Delilah Dirksen. She is from New Hampshire and was part of First Place for many, many years. Her son is a almost professional skateboarder. And so she ended up, I'm serious, like Olympic skateboarder trial kid. And she eventually left First Place. She loved us, but to basically be her son's manager. And they now have like a condo in California, and she's from New Hampshire, but her son Josh is a very accomplished skateboarder, which is pretty cool actually. So, but Delilah is the one that introduced me to this Bible. So I want to give her, for some of you guys know Delilah, and give her some, hey, Delilah, thank you. So in the Leadership Bible, it has all these different sections and thoughts. And so the 360 leader, I just want to come up with a few points to discuss. We're going to talk about Nehemiah and Nehemiah as a leader. And the first thing that the book points out as far as a 360 leader is 4 different phases. And phase 1 was that Nehemiah led himself. And that comes from Nehemiah 1. And if you remember the story of Nehemiah, he's spending time with God. He's listening to the Lord. He's disciplined in his spending time. He works for a king as the cupbearer of a king, but personally, his personal relationship, his responsibility is to the Lord. And that comes out in Nehemiah 1 as he is just sensitive to what's going on. This is where we discover that Nehemiah discovers the Jerusalem's walls are completely broken down. Like the heart of the Lord really comes out in Nehemiah 1, where he's just spending time with God. He's worshiping God. And he's honestly saying, Lord, what do you want me to do? You know, and so that's the first phase. He's leading himself. Phase 2 comes out in Nehemiah 2, where he is leading up. He is leading up, meaning he is now, the Lord has showed him that he should go to Jerusalem and he needs to lead the king that he works for. He has to figure out, okay, I have to figure out how to get the king to send me to Jerusalem. Does that make sense? And he, in the 2 traits that come out of there, the first one for leading himself was discipline and responsibility. The 2 traits or key ingredients, as this book says, for leading up is excellence and respect. He respects the king that he works for. He is doing an excellent job as a cupbearer. The king is, if you read, you can tell the king knows him and is like, hey, Nehemiah, what is up? Like he can see that Nehemiah's countenance has changed, that something is different about him. And so as you read about leading up, you can say he was faithful in his job, and the king knew him well and respected him. And he was very straightforward. When the king asked him what's going on, he had that relationship with his boss, so to speak. So he was leading up with Nehemiah was leading up. So I really love that. Like many of us have bosses. It could be your pastor. Vicky Heath is my boss in First Place for Health. But I also serve at my church. We have a lot of relationships, do we not? Can we all agree we have relationships where we need to lead up? The phase 3 is he led his countrymen. And so if you're familiar with the story of Nehemiah, he talks to the king, he tells the king about the fact that Jerusalem's walls have fallen. He feels called to go back and rebuild, and the king sends him. So he has led up, he has gotten the king's approval, even resources and permission to go and lead a group of people to rebuild Jerusalem. And so now he has this group of people that he needs to take across, like leading countrymen to Jerusalem and leading them to work through all the many issues. And a lot of Nehemiah, the book of Nehemiah, is about that section and the struggles that they have, the people, the enemies that we have. Can we all, as leaders of First Place, sense the enemy? I don't know about you guys, but I always tell leaders when they're first starting First Place, I don't want to scare you, but be prepared. The enemy does not want you to succeed. When we're saying we're going to lead others to place Christ in first place, the enemy says, oh yeah, we get challenged and we have that enemy. So the traits for leading across or leading your countrymen are service and perspective. And when I say service, Nehemiah was serving them, but he was also inspiring them to serve with him. So he was leading the people that are with him. He was the leader, but these were his fellow Israelites. These were his countrymen. These were his people, so to speak. And at this point, he is the established leader, but he really is serving them. He is seeing their perspectives. If you remember reading in Nehemiah, he recognizes that they feel in danger. They don't feel safe. And so he has to, figure out with his people, okay, how do we, so if I love the part about how half of them are protectors and half of them are workers. Like he gets their perspective and comes up with a solution, and then they're working, but they also have swords in their belts. I like, that picture of we have to be doing the work, but we also have to be ready to go into battle if necessary. He took a lot of heat from the opposition for the people. And I know me as a leader, I have done that many times, in that there's the people that are above us, there's the people that are next to us, and there's the people trying to knock us off track. And part of the job of the leader is to take that heat, to be the buffer, to be the protection, to say, yeah, no, we're not doing it that way. And so as a leader, I just want to challenge you to know sometimes we do get to know we're not doing it that way, because we get a lot of people pushing in against our ideas or thoughts. So stay true to what the Lord has provided for you as far as when you're leading a group. He also helped face adversity. That was one of his service, was really about the adversity that they all experienced. And then he motivated them. He had the Lord. The Holy Spirit had given him this plan to rebuild Jerusalem. And he had to keep reminding them, like, let's not get off course. And I see us as First Place for Health leaders. How often do we hear, oh, this is happening in my life, I have to quit First Place, or that? I have to remind people that yucky stuff is going to happen to us forevermore. Like, life happens. And so many of us, I shouldn't say so many, you hear so many stories about, I was this in First Place, I did great, this happened to me, I quit First Place, I went all the way backwards. You hear that. And so I know for me now, it's like, don't give up. Even my people that can't come to my meetings because they are taking care of their father or their husband or something, I'm still texting them and praying for them and encouraging them to keep up with their healthy habits instead of letting them, okay, you don't come to my meeting anymore. Does that make sense? I feel like we have to help them, encourage them, help keep their perspective on taking care of themselves. All right, last and 4. I like 3 and 4. I like 3 and 4 bullets. So the 4th is he led down. He became the governor of Judah. So now he is raised up. He became the head of the governor over the whole town after the walls are rebuilt. Here he is leading down, so to speak. He's the boss now. He's the governor. He's not next to them. They've decided we're following Nehemiah. And so the key ingredients in leading down is vision. He had a vision. He had integrity. He was constantly challenged, and he was planning. He was full, he had planning in there. So glad you're here, Gloria. Come on down. We're glad you're here. So I think part of planning is he had to continually work on restoring order. They were always under battle. And I don't want to like smash battle. I don't want to poor scare Gloria and saying, you're not a leader yet, but there is a lot of battle when you are in First Place. Can I get some amens here and some pictures and say, yes, there is. And that we can't be afraid of that, but we need to recognize that that's true. And I love it. If you remember Nehemiah, he refused to be distracted. He was on his mission. He always had that. And, he had a lot of people said, what about this? What about that? We should focus on this. We should focus on that. And he was never distracted by the mission at hand. And he continued to preach and put the Lord, always remind them back to the Lord. And the Lord, he just was a very disciplined man. So back to that phase 1, where he led himself, that discipline and responsibility, he had that the whole time he was leading, whether he was leading up, whether he was leading across, now he's leading down. So those are the 4 things. Lead himself, which is lead up, lead across, and lead down. So anybody have any thoughts? Or maybe is there one harder to do than the other? And
yeah, one of the thoughts I had was the Nehemiah story is always so inspiring to me because he had to wait for an answer. And while he was waiting, he was preparing. He wasn't just sitting there waiting. He was getting things in line and setting things up so that when he got the okay from the king, he could just go for it. And for me, that is a great leader that just doesn't sit and wait, that takes on the role and says, okay, this is going to happen. I just have to wait for a while. But in the meantime, I'm going to have this all set up so I can just rush out there and do it.
yeah, Cool. Thank you. Someone else.
So Helen, I didn't really get the question. So could you repeat it?
Well, there are 4 areas of leading ourselves, leading up, leading across, and leading down. Of those 4 areas, is there any specific area that's harder for you?
Okay, thanks. I missed all that. I don't know where I was.
That's okay. Becky, I should turn on the closed caption for you. Let me do that right now.
Cool. I don't know if this is the answer to your question, but just recently, I finally just, set up 2 meetings to start in March. And the leader that has been doing the second group texted me the night before I was putting an article in the paper and said, I've just got a lot going on right now, and I don't think I can lead the nighttime group. And so as a leader, I just gave her grace. I mean, we, like you said, we all have a lot of stuff going on in our lives. And I could have been like aggravated, mad, but I really wasn't. I have life happen to me too. So I knew she had a lot going on. So I said, don't worry about it. Just take care of yourself and God will provide what. So the next morning I get a text from her saying, I've had a good night's sleep and I really need the accountability of leading this group. And so if it's not too late, can you go ahead and put the right information in the newspaper? So in the meantime, the pastor's wife was like, well, if she's not leading the group, who is? And I said, well, I will. It's not a big deal. I'll be glad to lead it. So all that was transpiring between 10 o'clock at night and 7:30 in the morning. And I had said to the preacher's wife, God will provide whatever we have, whatever's going to happen, God will provide. And I was like, yay, God, because I can do the 2 groups in one day, but I prefer not to. I've learned over the last 4 or 5 years, that's a little much for me. So anyway, lead up, lead across, lead down. I don't know, but I just try to do what God leads me to do.
Awesome, Becky. Thank you. And I did turn on closed caption. And if it's bothering you, you can turn it off on your computer. But Zoom for you guys, if you want, it's an option now in Zoom that you can have what they call live transcript. And it automatically puts text, writes the text at the bottom of the screen. And I have a legally deaf person in one of my groups. And so we use this all the time in our group. She lip reads. And so in our group, you guys all look great. But I would have to say, Diane, take your hands out in front of yeah, there you go. But that is how we do it. Diane had her hand in front of her face. And so that's just how it works. But I have a legally deaf person. And in my other group, I have 2 legally blind people in my group. So somehow Zoom provides a great option for them because they can't drive. And so they have found my virtual groups because they are homebound or, if someone drives them. So, okay. So, all right. Bye, Laura. I'm so sorry your sister-in-law fell in the ice. We pray for her. Lord Almighty, Laura's sister, she just texted me that she has to go away. So no problem. All right. Anybody else have anything to add? Because we're going to break out into groups. And if Laura is leaving, go ahead, Diane.
Well, I was just going to say, I went back, having, it had studied Nehemiah. Is there a first place book on Nehemiah that centers on it, and the walls and everything from?
There is. There's Healthy Boundaries, which is old Bible study, which we've actually redone twice. It was old, and then we redid it. It was out in the green bag, and then we rewrote it for the maroon bag. That's the best way I can explain it, you guys. The member bag. What color was the member bag? So it came out like in 05, and then we rewrote it and it came out again. And actually, I just reread it all, the most current version, trying to decide if we should rewrite it again, because I found Healthy Boundaries very helpful to me personally. However, having just finished Strength Will Rise, Karen Porter in Strength Will Rise covers a lot of the healthy boundary stuff in Strength Will Rise. And so I'm not convinced that we need to redo Healthy Boundaries, if that makes sense, because there's, go ahead.
The good thing about the Healthy Boundaries, it's on a lighter level, because Strength Will Rise is really a postgraduate course.
Yeah.
My group is really having problems with it's just so deep. And I think
see.
they worked easier with the boundaries because
Well, it's funny because when Boundaries came out, we had a lot of people give feedback that it asked too many personal questions. So it's
Well,
there you go.
You can't win.
Karen's are even more, but I think that's what Karen's done with all her books. She just really, the discovery books, it's like, oh Lord.
Go ahead, Rebecca.
Just thinking about the ladies that are in my group and thinking about the one person I know who did Healthy Boundaries years ago, I think the ladies in my group would really benefit therefrom because of the conversations, the talks that we have had about the lessons that we're doing. I think there's a lot of loss of healthy boundaries, maybe because of pandemic or whatever, but it seems like I would encourage you to redo it so that we could get it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I just wanted you to go ahead, Diane.
I was just saying, I actually didn't get to say what I was going to say. I just was
Good.
remembering, and I would like to say that when you said it's an old whatever, I'm not an old leader.
Oh, I
Even though
see.
the book's an old book. Just 10 years or 12 years or whatever. But what I was going to say is, I went back and checked, on my iPad. Nehemiah spent time fasting, praying before he did anything. And I think that is key to all the phases, the praying and the fasting and to putting it all in God's hands. That enables those traits to develop, and I think God just inspires leaders then to use their strengths to whatever the need is. So yeah, it says he mourned and then fasted and prayed before the God of heaven.
Wow.
Good stuff.
Thank you, everyone. And I heard you about wanting to have Healthy Boundaries again. And it's so funny because Healthy Boundaries did ask a lot of tough questions, which is really what we want all our Bible studies to do now. They're definitely, how I like to say, in your face, or call out the white elephant in the room, or poke the bear. I like to say that's how a lot of our Bible studies are really focused on helping people recognize, what they need, what the Lord wants them to recognize and change in their life. So since all of you guys are leaders, I have you in 2 groups. I'm going to send you off for 10 minutes. And so your goal is to, I have no rule. You could talk about whatever you want. If you want to keep talking about this topic, you guys always talk about whatever you want. So I'm sending you off to talk about whatever you want. How's that sound? And you'll know who you're in a group with when you get there. It's not recorded, so you don't have to worry. You can say whatever you want. And then when we come back, you just share your big idea. So there's 3 people in a group and you have 10 minutes to share, talk, do whatever you want. Introduce yourself if you don't know your person. So off you go. I'll see you in 10 minutes. Welcome back. Did you guys have some fun? I hope. So who's a spokesperson in room 1? Becky, Janet, and Marilyn. What would you share? Your big idea. Who's sharing? Hopefully you decided.
Okay, well, I think one of the things I got out of our group was that to remember to share the leadership. And both ladies said they let other people lead in the Bible study discussion. So I try, like if I'm not going to be there, then I get somebody to do it. But I've never really done it when I am there. So that might be something I need to try.
Yeah. So as an example, I sent you guys off to breakout rooms and I didn't go for that 10 minutes. So I know it sounds crazy, especially back if you're leading more than one group, but I have assistants that lead the Bible study. It seems this thing that some people are more comfortable doing than other things, you know. But having just somebody do the opening prayer and having a different person do the icebreaker, like those are easy things that people can do that are, you know, hey, would you lead the icebreaker? Now I have to tell them what the icebreaker is. Go ahead, Rebecca. I saw your hand up
I
there.
was going to say that in my group, I have some people who are really good about discussing, for example, portion distortion or demonstrating exercises that are good beginners exercises of different types. And so I use my resources. If we're going to be doing a particular wellness and I know there's somebody in the group who can do it, then I let them do it. I think sharing the responsibility leads to more ownership on their part and encourages them to be more active.
Right. And I always recommend, even like in this case, 3-on-3 is not too little. Like in the Bible study discussion, like you could literally, if you had 6 people in your group, break into 2 groups of 3. It's not, especially first place if the people know each other. So the talkers want to be in the big group. I'll just say that all the time. They don't want to break up. They want, the talkers want to be like talking to everybody. I hear this all. I want to hear what everybody has to say. But you guys all know me. I'm like, yeah, we're breaking into groups. You know, it's just I'm like Nehemiah. I'm like, you know, leading down. No, we're not doing it that way because that's always the thing. But I know that people do better in a smaller group, you know, in general. Okay. Thank you, Becky. Share the leadership. It's the way to grow the leadership. It's absolutely, I'm excited. I have been leading 3 groups for a long time. And this week is the last time for my Thursday night group. Some other person is completely taking over and she's not very good at tech. And so we found her a tech assistant. So somebody is going to do the technology for that leader. So the leader's like, I still want to learn the technology, but it's really a weak link for her. So I'm always encouraging people, find that assistant that will download the videos and share the videos and you know, help you with even keeping track of weights and, you know, the admin part. Not everybody's good at that. All right, group room 2, Diane, Joanne, and Rebecca. What big idea do you have to share?
The first is an observation, and the observation is that nobody wants to take responsibility to get it started. You know, we sat there a little quiet for a while, and then we opened up. I think the issue that was the most important issue was that of a seeming lack of commitment on the part of participants to the program, the meeting, to themselves.
Amen to that, Diane.
It was Joanne's.
Yeah.
She's the one who brought it forward.
Oh, yeah. Joanne, I can see that. It's true. You can't want it for them. I think I've said that before a lot of times.
And you heard me ask that when we had the thing at Restore last year, the one lady was there to take it. She never did it. She goes, oh, I can't, I'm not ready, I can't. And no matter how hard I kind of, she just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So, but there was a comment made, and Helen, if you could clarify this, something I made the comment that I'd like to preview a couple of books, but it's so expensive to order them, you know, and then decide not to use one or another. And Joanne said something about digital.
So starting, I think, with Strength Will Rise, and now God's Purpose for You. And we have God is My Refuge is our next. They're all available in PDF form now. So
Mhm.
you can purchase them. Now, God is My Refuge is not for sale yet, but as soon as we have verification that it's been to the printer and we have a ship date, we actually put it up for sale and the PDF is available right away. So Diane, and then we're actually just put Seek God First, which most of you guys probably already know, but Seek God First is now available in PDF fillable. And so that is a new option that's available. So now when you go to Strength Will Rise and try to order it, you have to pick, I want paperback or I want PDF fillable.
Oh,
So that is now, it's kind of the new standard for us, if
Mhm.
that makes sense. And then we oftentimes, a lot of our Bible studies are also available on Kindle, which is, you can't fill it in, but if you go out to Amazon and you just like look for Strength Will Rise or some of those, it's available on Kindle. So it really is only view only. Kindle is limited, but Kindle's only $9.99. And so that's another. So our PDF fillable is $14.49. The 9-week, 8-week studies are $19.99, and then I think it's what, $22.49. Like we have new prices. I can't remember.
Th-
The
Those are the hard, those are the.
12-week studies, yeah. And in general, we're not bringing out new 12-week studies anymore. That's the, mostly it's 9-week studies now. So
Okay.
like God is My Refuge should be out by the end of the month. We don't have like a ship date yet, but we're working on God is My Refuge. It is a new study. It is written by Debbie Beeling, who wrote The Joy Adventure
That's great.
and has been here. She's been a leader, a First Place for Health leader for 40 years, but she also wrote The Joy Adventure for those of you guys that know that study.
And for anybody who doesn't, it's phenomenal. It's a wonderful study. Did a
Yeah,
great job. And the God's Purpose one, that's a remake or
it is. God's Purpose for You. I have it right here. It's what my group's starting in 2 weeks. Lucinda Seacrest McDowell was the original author, but she completely rewrote it. So it is done in her voice, so to speak. That's the new way that First Place is allowing the Bible study writer you get to know who the writer is. If you've been doing First Place for a long time, it used to be written in what we called First Place for Health voice, meaning you didn't know who the author was. You didn't hear personal stories about the author. Anyway, she did rewrite it. So it is.
But are the chapters that are in the new one, are they same chapters as the previous one?
Yes, it used to be a 12-week study. It's now a 9-week study. And the chapter titles are what in the same chapter titles, the same memory verses as God's Purpose for You from back. I think the last time we sold it was like 2018 or something like that. It's been off for a long time. Did that make sense?
Yeah. My
Yeah.
problem is I can't remember when I did it. I know we've done it at least once, but
Well,
and I'm in Texas and all my materials are in New York. So
I
I'm
see.
trying to
Well,
decide on an April study, on a
yeah.
spring
The
study.
other thing is Forever Changed was redone, completely rewritten too, which is one that came out into our very first one. And so
Mhm.
I know Vicki Heath's group is just finishing that and having like really enjoying it. So there's new videos that go with this, like a whole leader's guide, new videos. So I don't know. I just finished. I did Be Free. I'd done it a long time ago. It doesn't, I make my groups do Seek God First every 3 years. It's just how I feel like they need to go back to Seek God First. People need to know all those Bible verses. This is Helen's opinion, but I make my group go back and do Seek God First every 3 years because I have new people all the time
Right.
that have never done Seek God First. And then the people that I often find the people that are doing it all the time, they realize is they do seek God, oh, I'm not doing this anymore. or I stopped doing this healthy habit that I used to do. I'm not doing it. Does that make sense? Or I never started doing that, like tracking. Like how many of us have people that have been doing first place for
Yeah.
40 years? They could be doing 40 years and they're still not tracking. So, there are probably people doing that. I know you guys know, hey, sometimes you need to shake up those people that have been doing it a long time. They, like it goes with that commitment level, they love the Bible. That's what I was, they love the Bible study. It's like the only thing they do, and they don't do anything else. And you're like, oh, yeah, you've been at that same weight for like 5 years, or you're gaining weight. Worse, it's even worse than that. I know you, I see all those smiling, laughing. I know. Okay. So anyway, Strength Will Rise, it has been out since December. God's Purpose for You is what came out at the beginning of the year. God is My Refuge is coming out end of March, beginning of April. We also have the 4th My Place for Discovery book is due out in April as well. So that is in the works as well. So those are our newest offerings. And so that's we're working on right now is for what's going to be, what's the next Bible, we're always like, okay, we're already working on the Bible study that's coming out that you don't even know about. But God is My Refuge is what's coming out, the very next thing. And so that's a good one. So, and it's different than the Joy Adventure. So it's a little different. So, our newest stuff, hopefully you all know about My Place to Race, is starting now. It's starting in 13 days on March 14th. The reason we follow it, we like it to end the last Friday, the Friday after Easter. So last year it just turned out to be March 1st. This year with Easter, we follow it around Easter. We want it to be finishing up the Friday after Easter. So that happens to be April 22nd. So we start on, I think it's March 14th. It's a Monday. And so that is only just 2 weeks away from today. So we're excited about that. It is a fundraiser for First Place. And so it also is a fun thing for people to do and to get our people moving. The whole idea is a 40-day fitness challenge. And so if you haven't opened your email yet, the whole newsletter is all about racing or the race or doing it together, that kind of thing. We're really hoping people, it is a fundraiser for First Place. So we encourage everybody to do it. So there you go. I know some people have had some problems because they can't figure out how to register, or they don't remember their password, or we've had all kinds of different things. But also, I just want to comment that you do have the ability to go in and change your profile. So if there's something that you did, you can join a different team or something like that. So any questions about the race? No, you're all in. Okay, cool. I already told you about the Bible study. Summit, we already announced there's a save the date. Summit will be in Burlington, Kentucky, which is a suburb of Cincinnati. It will be $99, and there's going to be a $25 early bird discount that for those that register in the first month. So registration will open April 1st. So in a month, we're kind of giving everybody a heads up and getting all our speakers. It's also going to be virtual. So we are going to provide the same virtual experience that people have had opportunities to do the last 2 years. A lot of people were thankful that they were able to participate in Summit virtually. So Summit, if you're a virtual attendee, will have a similar feel to what you've already experienced in the last 2 years. So you can do it whenever. Every person, whether you're in person or virtual, will have access to all of Summit for 40 days to watch all of the different speakers and breakout sessions and stuff at their leisure. And so for those, several of you come to Summit in person. So for those of you guys that come in person, we'll just be filming everything. that is in the main room. So all the keynote speakers, and then we also rotate breakout room speakers into our main room. And so that's what the virtual people will see live. You'll see what's happening. You'll see all 4 keynotes, and then you'll see 4 breakout sessions. And that will all be live, but we'll also record it. So it all will be available to watch again, or when time works out, because not everybody can attend live. Does that make sense? It's how some, go ahead, Janet.
What is the date again? I missed that.
Oh yeah, I don't think I said the date. I think it's July 29th and 30th. It's that Friday, Saturday of July. I just have to double check, but I'm pretty sure that's, yeah, 29th and 30th of July. And actually the content, the pre-recorded content will be released on the 28th. And for those people coming in person, we'll likely have a whole group activity on the 28th. Burlington, Kentucky is where the Noah's Ark project is, and the Creation Museum. So we will have some type of group activity that will be optional, but we'll be doing that as well on that Thursday, the 28th. So good questions. So those are our exciting things. And then Wellness Week is out there for October. We have Restore Me coming up in Sandy Cove in May. And we're actually pricing out a Hawaii adventure for next year, where people, for a small group of people, but like it will be double occupancy, but we're working on having an adventure week in Hawaii, and I'm working on that. So it's set up to be double occupancy. So you could come with a friend, you could come with a spouse, but we're trying to make it, 2 people will share a room, so to speak, and have an adventure. And so the goal is, it'll be like a week, and we'll have like 5, it'll include 3 adventures activities. We'll have like 5 activities you can pick from, so to speak, because there's a lot to do here. So some people might not want to snorkel, some might want to golf, others might want to go on a hike, but probably everyone will want to go see the volcano. There's certain things that, if you're going to go to the island, you might as well, so different activities, everybody, but you'll have to pick which 3 you want to do. Does that make sense?
Mm.
All right. I think that's questions. Anybody have a question? No questions. Well, I am so thankful for all of you and your perseverance. And as Nehemiah, lead yourself first. Really, that is what first place, put Christ in first place. And can I get an amen? That's where it begins. It begins with our relationship with Christ. And that's really the most important thing. And let him be the leader of us and the leader of our group. I always like to say he really is the leader of our group. We're following him and leading others to place him first. So let me pray for you. Jesus, Lord Almighty, I thank you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for this ministry, Lord, first place, for health. It's the health of our heart, our soul, our mind, and our strength. We want to love you with our all, Lord Jesus, and help each of us that are watching this, the recorded version, and also us right here. Lord, help us to be that 360 leader, that we're aware that we know who you are and we're watching you. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen.